I am not a financial advisor. These videos are all meant for educational purposes only. All Complete Trader Academy videos are my personal opinion and perspective. Trading carries a high level of risk, and all results are your own responsibility. Please always demo first. Hey everybody, welcome back to CT Review. Today is January 20, Tuesday, 2026. Hope you had a good day, good week. And obviously we got this big gap. Real quick, I'm going to get out of this trade. I've been holding it all this time. I'm not letting it come against me. It just happens to be, when they get to the bottom of this, are they going to run through it or not? I don't care. So we'll lock that in right there. Let me screenshot that. Let me see if we could just run through. And what's the point here? I'm trying to take out this low, make a new lower low. We obviously have an average day. Well, not obviously, but we have an average daily range of about 350 points. Right here, this is 440 at the high of the day. All right, there we go. I'm taking it out. Because usually what they'll do here is they'll either rip it right back or they'll continue. And at the top here is 440. So let's just say if it was 350 points, that would leave me at around 25,100 level, which is we're knocking on it now, right? And when you're getting this push up in the day today, you're getting these higher highs and higher lows. They're trying to squeeze everyone from selling here, but they're also creating this control of price here and liquidity to fan down, right? And then I'll get into it, but as you can see, we discussed, I made this video on the 7th. We talked about, popping up, getting more into that gap, that void of price, and then rolling over to then hunt what? All of this liquidity. Now, obviously, it wasn't that pretty, and it didn't just do that, but that flow did pan out. Here's another example. I was giving this back and forth, right? Higher, higher, higher. And I made this on the 6th. So, obviously today's the 20th. So we're talking about weeks later, right? But, the point was the seasonality was going to be choppy. January was going to be up and down. This is the first example I gave. Then from here, once we come up here, I'm assuming to come back down here. So we're doing that now. What we did is we gapped down right to this. Remember I talked about the inefficiency in pink here? And then we have an inefficiency in pink right here. This is, at that time I made this video, that was that current week gap. So that's a darker purple. But this is an actual inefficiency. Just like on the daily chart down here, there's one here. Meaning there's no price action period in between that that close and then this low here. And then the same principle is going on in this area that I'm highlighting here. So I understand those things. So their agendas, what did they do? They came up here about 50%, right? They didn't seal it. And then now we gap down for this week, and we came and we tagged this first initially, and then we're bumping underneath this gap. So let me get back into current price. And as you see, there you go. So here's a prime example of, I'm letting it drive down, right? And I'm not saying it's not going to keep going through. I don't know. I obviously don't know. But even like when it came down to here and I was like, popped up, use this as resistance. And then I'm like, no, we're going to get lower. We're going to get lower. But now everyone's holding the back. I'm not holding the back, right? Anyways, let me get back to this. So, back to this. So for example, we had the ranges here and we had the ranges here, and you can see the price action is sitting in the meat of that 75%. Oh, let me do this a little bit. That makes it look a little better. So 75% here, as you can see, we topped out. Remember? So I made that video, here? Yeah, 6 and 7. That was here. So I made the video here, and then I talked about popping back up. What do? We retrace back. I know this is a little messy, so sorry about that. But you're going to see that this is the first imbalance of the year. Okay, remember this one's super key. Fuck, I could even delete this. I'm gonna delete this just to make this a little cleaner. Whatever. And then as you can see, the price action, when I measured this, we came up to a 3.5 to 4. I'm just recapping, and I know I did all that. I'm going to delete that now. And then once we got up here, we came back down. I deleted that. I think I measured this from here, 2 to 2.5. We stopped there. And then I measured this. Okay, so we were chopping up. This is so when I was giving that example of this back and forth, up and down. That's kind of like what we got now, present time, right? So you can see that we slowly made another high. It's higher low. It's another high, and then we kind of break here, right? So we get into that 50%. And then we immediately slam down for this liquidity. You saw me take that sell on that day of this trade here in the last video, I believe, right? And then that gap of price action, we never hit that yet though, right? And sure enough, we pushed all the way up for, let's just say we'll call this a break, we'll call it a bear flag, moving up. I don't give a fuck what you want to call it. But point is they squeezed real tight all the way up, and then I got this measured here. And then how I measured it was just that swing right there on a lower time frame. You can see it, and then you can see the 2 to 2.5 is right here, -2. We sweep outside that gap very gently. I'm deleting this now, and then I'm measuring now, coming down here on a 4-hour chart, which I'll show you in a second. But I know this is a lot of shit. So again, I don't need all these gaps, but the point is that when we closed on Sunday, Friday last week, and then we gapped down like this, right? So now we're fanning down, and I talked about maybe us being bearish and then coming down for liquidity on the bottom side. Like if you recall, see, I don't know why I have to keep clicking it 4 fucking times. I've been having this problem with this computer. I got to click like 4 times just for it to register. It's driving me nuts. Forget the moving averages, just getting the macro understanding. But I talked about this retracement. I measured these last up candles, and -1 and 1.5 is here. I mean, obviously, with a big gap like that, we ended up getting that type of momentum. This is not what you want to see when you're bullish, that's for sure. And obviously, it's the beginning of the year, so we're obviously going to create some type of wick down for the year, even if it's a bullish year at the end of the day. But that gap, it doesn't show, like, just the gap up here shows that it's like, okay, well, if we're getting to a finale maybe, and then this gap here shows that it's like, okay, well, now we're going to be, looks like we're going to be bearish in the grand scheme of things. But underneath this, what is this, a 50 EMA? I think this is 2150 200, really far away from the 200. But I'm doing too much right now. Point is that you got a candle that's just dripping. I'm looking for sells today, right? Like where it was Monday. So obviously yesterday was a holiday with Martin Luther King, but popping back up for what? Equal highs right here. See that? Equal highs here. We sweep that. We get to that. Here, it was a very similar story. And at one point, I was, thinking, are we going to just keep pushing up to get into this gap? But they know everybody is going to want to buy to get into this gap. So guess what I do? I'm not fighting them. I'm just not fighting them. Now, the understanding is that today, I got a lower low here. So let's just follow basic structure. Where's my lower high? Well, we're pushing up all this time from London to push up and then squeeze out people fanning up to get all this liquidity here, easy run and breakout levels. And notice how we didn't take out that fucking Asia high. That's on purpose. Again, all the gaps in the background, noticing we're stuck underneath that gap. So keep in mind that gap that I made the video on. I was talking about this gap, and we were talking about getting to that price action. I left that here on purpose, because to show you that when we gap down, we shot right to it. Do you see this? I'm gonna delete it, but this was what's left. Remember, that was what was left in that price action. Here, when we gap today, oh, by the way, on Sunday, I'm sorry. Remember, that's the first imbalance of the year. Take a look. Remember, we're up and down, up and down, up and down. Notice how we left from it, fucking 50% of it, literally. We closed here. We were, the last candle of fucking Friday is literally on that 50%. Okay, it opens on it and then it just closes. Where did we leave? We dumped right from it, right? And that's not a coincidence. That was a agenda. That was a an order, a task. It was part of the algorithms. You know, so anyways, what's my point in saying this? Was it okay? So when we gapped down, what did we do? We went straight to that inefficiency that was left. That's in there. I'm gonna delete it now. I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna delete it. Okay. So we shot right to it. But then this is a controller price. So it becomes these lower lows and lower highs, right? So I knew they would. Well, that's good. They did it. Now they're gunning for it. You see? So okay, but guess what? I didn't need this shit to just whip on me. I don't need to be right. But what was the logic of what I was saying was that when we get to this level of 25,100, that would be an equal 440 something points. So the average daily range was that 350. If it was an extra 100 points, big figure now we're talking, why did I have this circle here? Is because the 25,000 level, right? So I'm between that 25,100 and that 25,000 level is where I was aiming to get down here. So, and notice we're still flirting with it right there. Back to this. So this is a very common thing when you're in a bearish situation as well. I know I'm bouncing around. Okay, so back to the top 75%. We sell from that. We come down into 50%, and then we open up, and then we're just shooting down. Now we're coming more into the meat of the bottom quadrant, upper bottom quadrant, right? That's of this range that we're talking about here. And then if you look here at that range that I discussed here, you'll see that we couldn't make it above, and then we sold off, and we blew right through the 50, and then we came to the 75, right? So this is kind of like, you know, where the heart of the move is until we bust out of one of these directions, and clearly it looks like we're going down, right? You see, this is exactly what I mean right here. This is the type of shit is what I mean right here. So you're sitting here, I gotta be exactly right for me to fucking hit that level. I mean, it already sucks. It already sucked to have held it through all this dumbass fucking candles to get to this low where you saw me get out. What did I get out? I think I got out like right here, didn't I? Or something like that. Right? So, you know, and here we go. Here we go. This is experience. This is better decision making. Anyway, getting back to this, you'll see that gap is resistance. We made a low here, right? And then now we're pretty much like, you know, using it as resistance, but the gap is there to make this structure. The gap got fucking created here. We came and we bounced on it. Then we come below it and use it as resistance. If I didn't have any gaps here, you would just think, oh, it's because that's the resistance. But the gap is creating that structure. Anyways, you get my point. Back to the 4 hour, you can see that I'm using, and by the way, there's so much to talk about. But you know, even this daily imbalance, I said if we're bullish, we need to stay above this daily imbalance, which is we're talking about December 19th. So as you see here, we literally, you know, when we gapped down, we went straight to that 50, right? And now we're underneath it. So if you go do the research on, you know, if you go look at even the bottom quadrant, you know, we're using that as resistance coming down. That's not what you want to see when you're bullish. So anyways, what was I going to say? So I used these, this is a refined situation. I use these up candles on the 4 hour here, right? And it's just a refined area. And when we shot down initially, obviously, so Monday, we came in, we took out that low, right? Of the new year. We took out that low. And then we today came down already in London and then shot and hit that -1. So your -1 is here, right? Your -1's here. And then I'm just following structure to make another low. And getting into today's conversation, you see this liquidity here. Okay, but when we push up, we get these higher highs and higher lows, comes back into that imbalance. Look at this. Makes a higher low, comes make for a new high, hits the bottom 25%. Now, I tried to sell this at this 25%. Why? I'm trying to sell it to make a new lower low because I'm bearish at this point. But that's just for the near term. Forget the macro part, because at the same time we have a very possibility of shooting back up right now for that gap. But and for the structure of January. But what was I gonna fucking say right now? This is and by the way, this is the first imbalance of yesterday. Right, so you could see that we're tagging it here, and then the point is that underneath that gap, and then this is today. This is the opening gap of today. I got it in that little red right there. So we have the midnight level here. I have a gap there that we've been talking about, and then there's these gaps up here. Obviously, the purple is the gap, and you see it quadded there. Then I have a gap in the background that's pretty, good size, and then I have it quadded there, which is really obviously we're not using that. The 50% of this opening range gap would be here. It was too weak to even make it up there, and it was too weak to go above this gap here. So that, now that I've mentioned all that, I'm allowing it to retrace back up here at the 930 because of the fact that you have this breakout area and liquidity. Now, when we got into this, a 15-minute imbalance here, this is a great model that I like. It'll pop in, squeeze liquidity, breakout area, get to a balance area, make a lower high. It'd be the lower high, and then you're going to sell off for a lower low. That would be the gist, right? But they didn't do that, and it was very fucking choppy, all right? And then I got my ass beat twice, even a third time here, trying to catch this shit down. I have the first imbalance here, right? And I understand that what they're doing is they're just fanning back up, right? Fine. So the price comes up, higher high, higher low here. Then once we get, I understand that we're just sweeping that opening day gap today, okay? From the price of the open of today, right? So, which happened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So we're sweeping that because people are making decisions on the selling aspect, and notice that we have these guys right here on the liquidity side right here. See this? These guys right here especially. Because when it's higher high, higher low, I'm talking about this is in Asia here. Higher high, higher low. But we break right here. And then we retrace right here. And then we shoot down from here. So when I sold, sorry, I know this isn't legible. When I sold from here, I'm trying to get to this breakout area and come down, and it didn't go through. So, and I'll go back into the 1 minute. The problem is it's choppy, but the structure is really this. And you don't know. I don't care what teacher, I don't care what mentor, I don't care what school of thought or what fucking, what you trade with. You don't know what price is gonna do. And I'm gonna say this for the record. We are predicting, yes. But when you can't predict, that means that's when you react. And that's my saying. I never heard anybody say this on the internet, but that's how I think about it. It's like, okay, well, I'm predicting what's going to happen. But if that's not working out and I'm wrong, it's going the other way, well, then that's when you react, right? Because now you're looking at price fucking going the other way. Okay, well, I'm switching my direction, right? So that's when you react. But initially, I have to predict. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see me catch that fucking trade I just took. Anyways, point is, on this logic here, see, I got to click on it twice. I don't know why I got to keep doing that. See? Anyways, and the structure's there. All right, the structure's fucking there. I mean, use a trend line it's so easy. If we don't make things so difficult, you look at my chart and you're like, dude, this is difficult. I know. There's a lot of algorithmic levels, but I watch it run through it. So now that's a new high. This is a higher low. This did not take out this low, okay? But you get this nice, strong, bearish candle. And then they're trying to make it all tough and confusing here. And then the price stays inside this imbalance right here. And we sweep outside. So then oh my God. Then it fails. Comes right back to the first imbalance of the day. Here. And that's it. Lower low, lower high, buddy. So, you see that, obviously. So what the? So, I'm about to snap on ChatGPT. This motherfucker ruined my computer. So that's what these drives were when they were coming up. I was trying to let the drives pop up and then sell them down. Now everything was looking good here. And now look at no bodies underneath the first imbalance. And then this candle, 1018, starts coming down. Stops. We need to break the low. Guess what? It never did it. You can see it on the 15-minute too, that the 15-minute was in control. So the 15-minute was really this big push up high. So if I draw it again on the 1 minute, you'll see that it's really just this. All this is just the high. All of this is the higher low, the retrace. See that? All that in between is bullshit. Look to the left on the 15-minute. And then all of this, then it becomes, your simple structure back. See that? So this, all that noise was just really this. If you look on the 15-minute, it's a push up and it's a retrace. Look at the drives. Look at the drives back. Sitting in a 15-minute imbalance. I did not highlight it, and I should, for it to be more clear, but I did not. It's fine. But I'm just trying to give you that understanding. So, when it's getting up here, it's like, okay, well, what if it's going to go through, right, and get to this gap? I'm not chasing that. I'm not looking to get in. I am looking to get into the gap because that would be the right thing to do. But it's very clear that every trader is going to want to do that. So in this case, that's why they drop it back down like this, right? Because everyone is married to buying it. I'm the one over here selling it, right? But okay, back to this. You can see we were good here. And I was in the trade. I was like, beautiful. We're going to come down and come in here. Guess what? You get this stupid ass fucking candle, this 1021. Look how big the candle is. Okay. That's to tell you that the direction is going back up. Period. It's just not done. It's just not done. Right. And you know that it's probably going to sweep the midnight level, attack the midnight level, sweep the opening gap. And then we'll see if it wants to run up in there. But that would be the AM session's agenda. Why is that? We had a holiday yesterday. So the AM session is going to be even more stupid and sloppy. So the PM session is where the real trade's probably going to happen. Oh, how did I get in? Well, once this came down, and this is too low. This shouldn't be doing this if it's going to be buying. So I know they're playing around, and I know their agenda is coming down here, and then it sweeps up here, and then I don't have a confirmation yet. But then I get this right here. Then I get this. Well, you just saw me. This broke down again. And then see this candle? This 1213, it wicks right into this imbalance right in there. I didn't fucking highlight it, but it right in there. As soon as it does that, I'm in. All right. I'm pretty much filled in this imbalance. And then sure enough, it just fans this way now. See that? And then we get to the first imbalance here underneath it. Look how he sold from it right there. This is not coincidence. And that's the PM session, first imbalance. So we get that first imbalance here, and then we tag in it, and then that's another entry to bring your ass down. Look at this. Again, we're probably still going to roll through, right? Because their agenda is probably trying to get to this now down here. But the measurement that I had here in the 4 hour, -1, maybe -1.5. And then, by the way, when I measured this here, yeah, you saw that already on the last videos. Okay, so anyways, that was a measurement, and it hit to the -1, and then that was that. So I'm deleting that. All right, and then and then you can see this measurement here. I did the bodies here on the 4 hour, the bodies only. Look where -1 is, right there. See that -1? Look at the price actions here, and that was enough. That's basically what I'm showing you here with this retracing to the -1. All right, I'm deleting that. But see, that's a good way to kind of see where you're going to be going. I got measurements on different time frames. And then you can see that one here, that measurement -1 and 1.5, which is actually in control. We never broke that high, so this is in control. I'm going to leave that. And then right now, I'm using this right now. I could measure it from that way. I can measure it another way, but this is kind of like the last pretty much after it breaks and it comes back and we sink down, this is kind of like I was just using this. So that's that, man. Am I rambling? 24 minutes. So that explains this. But yeah, for it to, it was a little, it's naive for me to just think it's just going to sell from here. But at the same time, it was a lower high. I mean, and it came to a breakout level and it came to an imbalance and it failed. I mean, it just fucking failed. So, but again, with it being after the holiday is the AM session. So another situation also that's into the factor is, we had the VIX. VIX was coming down. And while we were coming down, in VIX, we were slowly fucking pushing up. When I caught that buy, when I caught the sell, that's when we were going to flip around and start going back up on the VIX. All right. And then we started pushing back up here this way. While we were pushing up here, I'm selling down. That's just added confluence. Obviously, if you add that with NVIDIA if you fucking pay attention to NVIDIA, it's sinking. So, that's the other caveat of my decision making on being bearish, right? So I still try, even when I was right, I still took the loss. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is a part of the game. I mean, there's nothing else I could say. Human error, execution, all that. It's just, and then also, if you pick any one of these like big ass bullish candles, we're going to want to see that be used as resistance, as an inversion. So we're playing on it underneath, just using this. Look at the tick right there underneath it. Boom, bottom quadrant, selling off. And that's just this one. Let's go to I'm going to go to this one. You'll probably see it here. All right. And then you could see, let me move it over. You can see us hit it to the tick right there on the 50% side. Look at that. Okay, look right there. You see that? That's not random. You see that? That's not random. That's like, it's literally like, it's perfect. See that? What's inside there? Little imbalance right there on this one. But the point is that that's what you're going to see if you're coming down, right? So you're going to use these, as you know, if you follow this channel, you should know. But you better be marking your chart. If you don't mark your chart, man, you're sleeping. You're sleeping. Another inversion here. I didn't draw it, but but the logic of us sweeping that opening day gap, it's in the red right there. See that? And there's a little gap in between. There's a little gap in there. If I move this over, I know I'm doing too much. There's a gap right there. So I'm going to move. That's the opening day of the gap. I'm sorry, that's not a gap. So there's two gaps. There's just one up here, and then there's one, right here. Right? Body staying at 50% of these gaps here. Whatever, but just real shady. Real shady to not take. So for me to take that sell right here, it was tough, right? It's tough. Because you think, okay, they need to be fair and come up in here, which they do, but it's not going to be in our time. So have I said enough here? And take a look here. I got to take some water because I'm running out of breath. My health has got a tiny bit better. I'm off steroids, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm out of the clear because right now I'm actually really losing breath right now. This is crazy. My chest is starting to hurt. I got more tests at the end of the month, and then we'll see what happens. But take a look. Can you imagine if I was waiting for it to hit that level? Man, let me tell you, fuck these motherfuckers. So dollar not helping, but straight shot down, and then. Let's see here. Where else are we? And then this was also the caveat of us pushing up here. We had lower lows with Dow, higher lows here with S&P and NAS, and we just that was the flow continuing. This I should extend this because initially there was this. Sorry. Initially it was this. So we had lower lows here originally, and then that was higher lows. So that pushed us up at 930. And then we continued up with more higher lows there. So then when we got up here, all right, so this is the other thing that was easier for me to make the decision. We had higher highs here first. That's divergence 1. Then we had another higher high with Nas. Another lower high here. So second divergence, right? And at one point we had this divergence here to see if it was going to push us up. But then this higher high here happened with Dow, and then lower highs here. And then that pushed us down, and I ended up getting in here. And then that was that. And then Dow looking heavy. And we talked about that, talked about it being, see this high resistance back and forth. You don't want to see that when you're trending. If it's going sideways here, this is pretty much looks like a top to me. And then they're coming down for the liquidity, gapping down to do it. This nice push up was easy. And at the moment, it is a higher low. I mean, it doesn't mean it's bearish. But I just feel like, this has been such a stupid run that it's time to come down and get some of this easy liquidity bit built. But with this type of price action shows me it's an inkling of it being bearish, right? We'll see. I don't know, but right, it's still bullish. And we've came down here. What did they do? They came up into, again, they couldn't even get to their 50%, and that's another sign of weakness. Again, fanning out, man. Lower low, lower high, and the structure, just keeping it simple, is what kept me in the game there. Gap here as well. That's a pretty significant move down. And then look at this stupid move. So I like coming back to this breakout area. Gap right here. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. Look at the overbought to the coming to an oversold on a weekly and daily. Again, with the seasonality though, it depends. Now this is where the real conversation is going to kick in. Again, this is a controller price. I talk about this even on a 1 minute chart. Look at this right here. You can see this up candle. We dig right back into it. We come down, we dig back into it with these up candles, and pretty much continuing the flow for a lower low is what the goal was today. And then this is a sell program where, in the sense that it's fake. This is not buyers and sellers doing that. Look at the candles. This is scripted, manipulated, but bumping underneath that for a sell again. And even if you didn't have any of these gaps, that would just be a breakout area. So this is the lower high. So when I took my initial sell, it looked like this on NAS, right? We just came higher, and I understood that manipulation from forward trading, for forward testing. So there's nothing else to say there. Now, so here's the thing. This is where it's going to get tricky, and I didn't want to make videos long, but what am I going to do? With the seasonality here, here's the thing. We're on the 20th, okay? So this is the thing. On the 20th, we're supposed to make a move up. Okay, on the 15-year and the 5-year, we're supposed to make a move up. So I'm just going to draw it, because I know I already drew this shakeout shit. I already drew that. Coming for this low or not, I don't know. But let's just say it is the 15-year or the 30-year. So I'm going to do the 5-year first. The 5-year doesn't even look like this. But if it was the 5-year, then we're going to come up like this type of shit, and then roll over again. Right? This is what the 5-year shows. Okay, now that I did that, the 15-year literally shows from right now that we, this looks crazy. I know. Type of thing, and then does this. So bigger range, I guess you could say. And then this is for the month, right? So, and then the 30-year, which is kind of like what it's looking like right now, to be honest with you. This is actually what the 30-year looks like, where it fans out like this. And then we're supposed to, depending on if they want to rush for that, that low, last month's low, December low, the 30-year shows this, what I'm showing you, and then going sideways for a while, and then dropping to then pop back up type of thing. Hold on. Pushes up, comes all the way back, and then is bullish for the year. Like it start, then we roll into February, and then we kind of, to be honest with you, January, February, and March to me are rough. To me, they're tough because it's like, okay, you got a lot of sideways action, and then you're waiting for the quarter seasonality to kick in and all that. So if I take away all that, what was my superpower today? My superpower was just basically following structure, right? Following the structure that's already in place, which is we have a gap. Everybody wants to come and buy for it. That's not going to just fucking do that. It could have, yeah, sure. I knew I had a strong sense it was going to be a bearish day using the average daily range of the, coming down for price from being a high of 300. I mean, look, they made a low. Today they made 442. I'm just, whatever. And 100. So it's 100. That's just 340 something points. We already had the daily range already implemented today. They came all the way back for it, and then we came all the way back for it. So basically, looking at this as a bearish day, looking that they want to come and hunt this low, I was gonna hold it to try to attack this, but really, all I ended up doing was that's a lower low. It's buying up for a lower high. Whenever it stops, rolls over, looking for some type of confirmation here to, I could have sold it here even, or here even, but I just understood this is obviously it was just a little too easy for the higher lows. You got ghost trend line, phantom liquidity, and sure enough, the rest of the day. And if you go back to us and you take a look at this model here, you'll see that this happens in the PM session, and you're going to have to hold it the whole day. All right, that's what my data shows. You taking a sell here and then you're holding it for the whole day. And as you see, I held it all the way into the power hour, knowing that it would have had to have been through the power hour. Anyways, so, I mean, nice little break right there, bro. And I don't know what else I could say. I don't know what else I can say. I already showed you the 30 year. 30 years, yeah, she pretty much rolls over more, and maybe get into in here. We take out that low, we get into this -2, and then here is another gap, and then that is a inefficiency of price as well, and that's on the daily. So I don't know, man. From here, it's anyone's ball game. You guys take care. God bless.